Okay, so we're going to do a press-on set. We use D&D 872 on a base. I got these gelish tips. Let's go. I'm thinking like an aurora, like ethereal. I got some iridescent bows, and I guess we can call them water droplets. But this is how I set my press-ons up, like when I'm doing it. It's very important to me. I like to follow the edge. They got the little hanger, little plastic piece on the end. I hate that. Take that off. Then I buff them. I know some people just swipe with acetone, but I like to buff them. I do. I buff them, clean it up, the dust off, easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's actually pretty therapeutic. Now, if you look, the smaller little nail tip holder on the very end, I used my e-file bit and I filed it narrow. That way the small nail doesn't get caked up, stuck on there all crazy. It messed with my ADHD so bad. But that's okay, here we are. D&D has some of the prettiest bases. Now, don't at me or nothing. Just buy them. Oh, I'll put the ones I used at the bottom. I'll put everything that I used at the bottom just in case you want to grab it. I ended up doing 3 even coats because I wanted to get it more solid. And then also it's clear tips. Like if it was a natural nail color tip, then I probably would have done maybe just 2. But it's clear. So I want it to be as opaque as possible. Alright. So we did this just on both sets. I end up doing this set in a medium. So a medium, our tip sizes 1, 5, 4, 5, 8. This is like for my ready to ship sets. When I do customs, it pretty much the client, they already know. Like, oh, okay, this is the size I need, blah, blah, whatever. And then I'll do whatever sizes they request. But if I'm going to do just ready to ship sets, either for the website or for vending events, then yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll do mostly mediums, like a few larges, but none of the same designs. I don't really repeat designs when I do ready to ship, just because why? I do put matte top coat over the nail before I do my acrylic airbrush paint, and I use the Koopa matte. The airbrush paints I'm using are the pastels from One Air Official. Like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of the links to everything below. So if you're like looking for something, you can get it. The hand piece that I use is going to be my Iwata. I love an Iwata. It is my favorite. I promise you it is my favorite. I'm doing soft little circles here. I'm going to go through a number of different colors. This is an acrylic airbrush paint. It works very well over matte. You just sandwich it in between a base coat and a gel base coat, yes. And chef's kiss. Smooth, flawless finish every single time. Every single time. You do want to make sure, like with everything else, because I see a lot of the Reddit girls, and comment below if you've seen these different Reddit posts, because I know I'm not the only one, but I've been doing those for 20 years, and I've seen so many Reddit posts where the girls are like, oh, my gel polish is chipping. Oh, this is doing this. It's not even staying on a nail. My number one question to those people, and I'm not saying they are or aren't licensed. I don't know. It's on Reddit. I mean, you can read it. It's on Reddit. But I'm going to say this. When I ask them, did they shake it? They're like, what? You got to shake it? Like, bro, you got to shake cough syrup before you take it. What you mean to tell me you out here just not shaking your gel polish? I mean, let's be for real. It has to be mixed. Pigments will settle. It's got mixing balls in it. I don't know if you remember nail polish from back in the day. It had metal mixing balls in there. And even the girls that make the Franken polish, they buy the mixing balls and put it in the bottles so that you can mix the polish. Anyways, I digress. So I go through a number of different colors. This one actually ended up being empty. I hate running out. I do. And do I run out of a lot of stuff? Yeah. But I actually had these paints since 2022. And we're in 2024. And I use them like often, very frequently. I do a lot of airbrush in the salon. And so the fact that they're finally just now running out is bonkers to me because I'm sad and I got to order more. But also, I mean, that's a lot of value. That's a whole lot of value. Yeah. So I go through. That one is like a peach. And I pretty much just go through and I'm doing the ombre on each one. I will say this. If you're doing, I've had this question a lot. How do you make sure, like, how do you switch in between colors? I just add a little extra paint and then it pushes that color out. Simple. And I'll do like 2 thin coats, right? Because you can see wherever it's shiny, that's where it's still wet. Where it's chalky, that's where it's dry. And I'm not spraying a ton. You don't see me spraying a ton because if you spray too much, then it's going to take forever to dry. And we definitely do not want that. And I pretty much just go through, layer the color in. I did too much on that blue. I was hot. I was hot about that. But I still ended up going back and then just doing a little pink around it. You can kind of see it in the background. But I didn't show that. If you have a hard time getting the paint right where you want it, you can look at 2 things. One, your airbrush might be designed for coverage, right? All airbrushes are not created equal. Some airbrushes are designed for coverage, right? They're designed for wider areas, but there are airbrushes. And based on that needle size, come on somebody, you can get a more precision thin line. I prefer 110% to always use an Iwata. This is a side feed. It's the SBBH model, if I'm not mistaken. I will, like I said, I'll put everything I use down at the bottom. It's my favorite. I have several Iwatas. Were they cheap? No. But do I actually even want cheap? No, I don't. I want good value. I want tools that work well, right? So the next thing we need to do, I'm just going on a tangent about tools. Anyways, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do base coat. And I use the base coat gel from Koopa. It works fine. Now, you're probably trying to figure out why on earth would you use a gel base coat over an acrylic airbrush paint. When you're doing a gel manicure, you always buff the nail, right? You remove the shine, and it's chalky and white. Or just chalky in general. That's the same thing with the airbrush over the base coat, over the matte gel, right? Because it's chalky. So, if I were to put a tack-free top coat over top, it would chip. Because the tack-free top coat, this is a little chemistry for everybody in the back and in the front. The tack-free top coat actually cures shiny on the coat that touches the nail and on the part that's facing out towards the customer or the client or you. The reason we put a base coat on our nails before we apply our gel polish is because it's like a double sticky 2-sided tape. So the same thing goes when we're doing airbrush nails over a matte top coat. We have to sandwich it in between that matte, which is chalky, like a natural nail would be, which the paint also chalky because it dries non-shiny, right? It dries matte. Has to be coated with a base coat. Period. It keeps it from chipping. Now, some people will say, well, I just cap mine in builder gel and then it won't chip. And you can do that. I have not been successful with that, which is why I use the Koopa base coat. And you can use anybody's base coat. I just have Koopa on hand all the time. I like their base coat. I like their matte. I use it all the time. It's not super expensive. You know, it's easy peasy. Look at my base coat application. I'm gliding it over. Not thick or nothing like that. I mean, come on, don't do it thick. We know with our gel polish application, you always want to do 2 thin coats, 3 thin coats, better than 2 globby or 3 globby coats. Number one, because you don't want it to be wonky looking. Number two, because it cures better if you make it even, right? And also, see, like when I'm doing my press-ons, I don't like it to end up with like a bulbous free edge where you can tell like all the gel is collecting there. So you'll see me like rotating the nails a little bit, rocking them back and forth. That's why I rock them back and forth, to make sure that the gel self-levels nice and easy. Because who wouldn't, you don't want that bulbous looking area. It just looks like you don't know what you're doing. That's what it is. So I cure both of those base coats 10 seconds. And then on top of the base coat, I end up using this Koopa build in a bottle. I get build in a bottles all the time. I love me a clear one, especially if it's inexpensive. If you're going to do gel, a gel manicure, and you want to encapsulate some chunky glitter, or if you're doing chunky glitter over a fill-in, acrylic, whatever, I do like me a build in a bottle to pretty much seal everything in, and then I'll like buff it. But what I did with the build in a bottle here was I used it to hold the charms down before I top coated it, right? Made it easier for me. Now the charms and all the accoutrements that you see me getting ready to apply to the nail, super inexpensive. I think I got them from AliExpress. I will put all of those links, down on the bottom. That way you too can experience the joy of buying a bunch of stuff from AliExpress that you really more than likely don't need to purchase, but will probably get anyway, because why not build your nail product hoard? That's what I call mine. I call mine the nail product hoard. Back to the video. Using my Crystal Quintana, my favorite little tool, to put the charms on. And I do like a little alternation thing. Like, put a little bit of that build in a bottle on the nail, add some of the charms, put it in a lamp, cure it. That way everything's not sliding around. Because I'm not using a gem gel. I can. But these really aren't raised up off the nail that high. And then also, I'm going to end up top coating these because they're just plastic. Now, if it was stones, like a faceted stone, yeah, I would use a gem gel. Because I don't put top coat on top of the stones. And you're probably thinking, why don't you put top coat on top of the stones? Because you lose part of the facet if you put top coat on top of the stones. So we go through, add the little charms and stuff. It looks really cute. And I just kind of do a pop in and out of the lamp. Curing it, placing, curing, placing, curing, placing, curing. It's very much vacation nail vibes. Summer nail vibes. I know it's winter, but I live in San Antonio, so what's today? Today is December 12th. It was 70 degrees was the high today. It started off cold, but 70 degrees is what we ended up topping out at. Had some sun. It was very nice. So go through it and add your charms all over. Make it nice. Make it nice. Easy. Okay, so then what we do next is we do our top coat. Now, I use top coat from Express Claws. This stuff looks good all the time. It always looks wet. That's why I like it. So, of course, like I told you before, those little charms and things, those are plastic. This is the final look. What do you think?